bioenergy healing, I mentioned that. Recently, we've posted 2 articles on the website. One is vibrational medicine. The other is astrology and divination. This is very important. A yogi is a unique being. A yogi is a changing being until he can reach unchanging being. Your body changes. The body of a yogi is not the same as the body of a non-yogi. It responds differently, or maybe doesn't respond because the response would be harmful. I learned this right away when I began being a yogi. I found, for example, that most medication was prescribed for me was too strong. Not in the sense that it hurt me, but I didn't need it. I had a long-standing problem that came from the medical establishment. Namely, I was given an anesthetic that I was tremendously allergic to, and an anesthetic that they knew how to test for, and it only lasted 5 minutes to test. But they didn't bother. And as a result, I had tremendous problems for years and years and years. So I went one time, I had moved, so I got a different doctor. And I said, look, I have these problems. And he said, and I heard there's new medications for it. He said, I have quite a number of patients who have this problem, and they've all tried the new medications and they don't work at all. But there's one thing I found that works. So I said, good, tell me. So he prescribed for me, I took it. The problem is that part of the results of the medication was relaxation. Not where you just flop over, but well, I wanted to go to sleep all the time. So I passed through the day feeling like I was maybe even almost half asleep. Because you see, it was too strong for me. And I found that with other things. Therefore, it's really good if you can find and use drugless therapies that does not expose you to this kind of a problem. In other words, bioenergetic healing goes right where it should go, and it does right what it should do. And it doesn't, in a sense, have side effects. It goes right to the heart of the target. And this is very, very important. So I urge you to look at the article. It tells about various devices that are helpful. Because you see, as a yogi, you work with vibration. You work with mantra. What is mantra? It's sound. What is sound? It's vibration. Vibration is the fundamental reality of the whole cosmos. Therefore, healing vibration, correcting vibration, purifying vibration is very important and, indeed, as I've said, effective. So please look at this and see and consider. Some of these devices I mentioned are expensive. Some are not. For example, this. Now, if this doesn't look like nothing, then I don't think anything does look like nothing. Is this really cheesy? See that? And that. This, those of you who may have studied somewhat in vibrational medicine will know that this is really the pattern of the antenna used in the device called a multi-wave oscillator, which was invented by George Lakhovsky. He's talked about it in an article. You can see his photograph. And this is plastic. Now, inside the plastic, there is some type of magnetic, and I'm using magnetic in a very broad sense, not like a magnet, material which constantly draws into it positive, life-supporting energy vibration. That's as much as I can say about it. But if you'll go to the website, the Polarade or the Polaris website by Dr. Tomich, who invented this, you'll find out more about it. But this, there, it's underneath my drinking water. So when I drink the water, it has been energized with strengthening, healing energies. And there's other things you can do with it. Now, this says energetic self-protection. Mostly the problems there is with what we call EMFs, electromagnetic fields, that everything puts out, including your television or your computer. And we're surrounded by these things. And these fields, especially when we're sort of overloaded with so many things around us, can cause problems. And there in the article on vibrational medicine, you'll find a section on shielding yourself from EMFs. And it's a very, very, very important thing. And I really urge you to consider it very much. For example, there is a device that you simply plug it into your electrical system of your house, and it clears out all the EMFs immediately. And we got one, and when we plugged it in, we couldn't believe it because it was really before and after. So it was obvious that we were being kind of bombarded with or influenced by a lot of these energies. And once that was in, it was off. Actually, we have a friend that has a bioenergetic healing center. And we told her about it, and she bought one for her house, and she and her husband had the same experience. The moment it was put into the house just changed completely. So they got one for the healing center, and it worked a transformation there. In fact, several people were there when they put it into the system, and they were all amazed. So it's a very good thing. In fact, also this, you can get it from the place that I tell about, and you wear it yourself. So when you go out and around, you're shielded. See, yogis are supposed to be very, very spiritual and never to think about these material things and so on. And with astrology and divination, of course, the fake gurus really tremble at that because they want you to have to ask them everything, every question and how to do it, how to do it, what to do. Astrology has been used in India from time immemorial. Whenever a child's born, the astrological chart is drawn up. Astrology is a valuable tool. You live in a world that is, again, energetic, and that's what astrology deals with, is the energies of the planets. So it's and divination, the same thing. You can do it. No room here for fake humility. Oh, I don't know if I could do it right. Well, people say that about yoga too, and then foolishly don't practice. Swami Tarkananda is preparing a whole book I've written on a subject of divination, Tarot, cartomancy specifically, that will be posted on our website and is going to be printed, I hope, within a few months, because these things are very, very important. And there's another form of divination I write about that is what's called geomancy. And there's a particular book you can get which gives instructions. And of course, you have to follow it well, and you have to follow it right, or it won't work. But if you do, you'll be astounded at what you can learn. Because are we all fully perfect in our intuition? The yogi is a totally different kind of person, a totally different kind of being. Don't mistake yourself. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, you're not going to grow two horns or another head. So don't have this kind of expectation. He would say this to people, but it will change you. If it doesn't change you, why do it? So again, your body changes, your vibration changes. Yes, so there will be people that can't stand you being in the same room with them because of their negativity. I think I've mentioned that in maybe our very first satsang, that someone wrote me about this, and he said, you know, I'm going around, you know, I'm meditating with Soham and I'm doing japa with Soham. And he said, sometimes I'll be just downtown and people see me and make a face like, oh, you know. And he said, some have turned around and they run away. And that does happen, believe me. And some of them will think, you've come on my territory, and they may even come up and try to hassle you. And they will do it. They will do it. People you think you're friends, somehow they'll never be able to come around you anymore. That's right, it happens. So everything about you changes. So what worked one time won't work now. You could do what people of lesser development did, but now you can't. What's the use of transforming yourself if this won't happen? So I tell you, it will truly happen. So understand, as you grow as a yogi, your life has to be attuned to that level you've attained.